Welcome to the kNights podcast. I'm your host, Kekoa, and with me today is Ben.
Kawaka.
And we have special guest this time. Kari's with us.
Hello.
Yeah, see? So it's just the three of us this evening. What'd you feel like talking about, Ben?
Well, actually, this tags off of the last podcast that we did, where I saw the special 17-minute sneak peek for Guardians of the Galaxy that Disney threw out, and you had to have like those preview tickets pre-printed. And then I finally saw the trailer that kind of relates to it at Disneyland.
No, how long is the one at Disneyland?
Not 17 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I think it's more like 10, I want to say.
You had to like stand in line for it?
Or
is it like just kind of walk in?
It's almost like a walk-in where you go and pretty much have to just wait for the next show to stop or finish up, and then they open the doors and everyone kind of walks in. And it was a different trailer. Whoa. What was that? It was a different trailer, and it wasn't the same scene, and it kind of felt like, well, both trailers felt like it was towards the beginning part of the movie, so it wasn't really ruining anything that you kind of already saw within the short trailers that they had online, the official ones. So these expanded trailers, the scene at Disneyland starts off with Star-Lord landing on that planet and stealing that orb or ball or whatever.
Okay.
And it kind of goes a little bit more into detail for that, so you kind of see that whole segment, and then it just cuts to the official trailer.
Okay.
All in all, it was entertaining, still fun. The theater uses a 4D motion effects, at least over here. Walt Disney World just shows the movie. But the one over here, they utilize the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience / Captain EO, now Guardians theater. And they utilize the 4D effects, so you get the air blown at you, the seats move, you get strobe lights effects in there, and I felt that the first trailer was a lot better.
No, you're talking about the 17-minute one.
The 17-minute one that we saw,
because that like
introduced
almost like
all the characters. With this one, you're just mostly focused on Star-Lord.
Right.
Which is cool and everything, but if you saw the 17-minute trailer, or were lucky enough to actually go see it, then it's like, oh, that makes you really, really, really want to watch it.
Well, I think I'd seen online there was another trailer floating around. It's like, I think it's 5 minutes long or something like that. I don't know if you see this one, where it basically seems to show more of the other characters actually kind of interacting with each other, kind of almost how they... I think it almost explains how they come together.
Is this the one where they're sitting around and saying, I have a plan? It's like, ha 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 ha, you have a plan?
I think it starts... this one starts with them, like the trailer I think the first or second trailer they originally put out, one part is where they're standing kind of... they're analyzing each person, like this is Groot, and then the guy's explaining who Groot is, and then the ones, this is Rocket, those ones where they're doing like a stand lineup kind of thing.
Oh, right.
They had that, but in this new trailer, they start off with that kind of thing again, and then it moves to them being kind of escorted into the prison kind of thing. But they're doing, it's almost like cut straight from the movie, where they're just walking in a line and talking to each other and like bantering between each other and kind of getting to, it seems like you can kind of feel where the chemistry's at.
That's actually where that 17-minute movie trailer started, but it went into the whole scene of them being processed, going into the prison, and then trying to break out of the prison.
Yeah, this one had that too. It wasn't 17 minutes, so I think there's probably even more with the one you saw. Yeah. But the one I saw online is, that it shows them in line, then it shows them getting processed, then it shows them in jail or in prison, breaking out of prison. And then I think it kind of ends right there, and it just does a few like actiony bits. But I think probably the one you saw goes further and has more stuff in it. But I think this one, the one I saw, has just been one that's been floating online recently. But it seemed pretty cool. And maybe I really want to watch it because every trailer I see makes me want to watch it even more. I mean, they've all been pretty interesting for characters or for a comic which I had no idea about and had zero interest in. The marketing has been really good for it. I don't know if the movie's going to be that good, but I even just watching all the trailers, I'd be surprised if it wasn't good. And I think that they're probably going to do pretty well with this one.
And then I think the best part of the marketing was the music.
Yeah, the music was really good.
Yeah, and it's like you hear this music all the time, at least in the first parts of the trailer, but when you actually see the movie, you're kind of almost wanting to hear the music, but just the way Disney does things, they'll show things that aren't really in the movie. They kind of splice it differently. So nothing's really spoiled or it kind of surprises you. But then when you see it so much, you're like, oh, I really want to sing along to this.
Yeah, they did definitely incorporate it pretty well through the trailers, and it keeps coming up in each one. Each one has a bit of the song in it, and same part. So, yeah, it definitely gives you something to hang on to, kind of thing, and kind of pushes it along. So it was really edited really well with the music and stuff.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was cool. So I did that. Definitely going to go see it. August 1st comes out. And with the 4D, I think I'm sold on D-Box for that too. So that's something that I definitely want to see in D-Box. 3D, it didn't really stand out to me that much, at least for what they showed over there. I think IMAX had a better kind of more visual impact. But I guess if you combine 3D IMAX and if you're able to get like motion seats and everything, then yeah, that's cool.
What do you think about the movie, Kari? Looking forward to it? Or
not really. No.
Not really your thing?
Well,
I think you need to see the trailer.
No, I've seen some of the trailers, but I mean it's okay. I don't know. I like the main character who plays Star-Lord because he was on Everwood.
Well, this time he's like shirtless and buff.
I don't know. I didn't watch Everwood, so I don't know if
eye candy.
He might have been shirtless and buffing then. I don't know.
No, but it was kind of cool.
He's more buff now.
It was kind of cool just seeing him again because I guess he's been in quite a lot of movies, like in the recent I
was gonna say that's
maybe last 10 years or something.
A pretty interesting pool for because most people nowadays would probably go, oh, he's the guy from Parks and Rec.
I've never seen Parks and Rec.
And you've never seen it, so your knowledge of that guy is like, hey, it's that guy from Everwood. Not even the guy.
90s.
Yeah, exactly. You're pulling way back. You're like, that's the Everwood guy. Wonder if he's done anything lately.
And he seems shirtless and like, oh, what a beefcake.
I don't know if she sees it that way, but
I don't see it that way.
I don't think she sees it that way.
No.
Yet.
But I mean,
yet.
Wait, what?
I think that's starting to sound like a you thing. You seem to be very into that, so
he's really into his buffness.
I was like,
so buff.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just have to go see it because of the buffness.
Apparently, that's the point I believe he was making there. That buffness is the draw for you or for the lady demographic, I guess.
Yes.
I guess is the idea.
The guys are going for the talking raccoon, and the ladies are going for
because they always have that kind of scene. It seems like they had it in Thor. At least I don't remember in Thor 1. It probably wasn't there, but in Thor 2, it was completely gratuitous, and I'm like, okay, I know why this scene's here, and because it was nothing else other than him shirtless. Nothing else happened. There was
washing himself slowly.
There was no exposition. There was no point to the scene other than to see him without a shirt on. And I'm like,
fan service. You're welcome.
It was basically it was pretty obvious. I'm like, okay, most of these movies have tons of fan service for guys. It makes sense. It just was like, oh, yep, that happened. But it works. Something for the ladies and for the gay men also.
See? Reach every demographic.
Exactly. I guess it worked because I believe that made a lot of money.
Yeah, and actually, the premiere just happened not too long ago too, like with all the stars and everything. And I was reading some of the press reviews, and they're like, yeah, it has everything. It's like action, humor, a pretty good storyline, and I think the one I was reading was actually a female reviewer. I don't know if that makes any difference, but she really liked it, and she's like, yeah, he's so hunky.
Once again, other things about the movie. I'd like to hope it was beyond that, but okay.
No, but she gave a pretty good review of it, and like, oh man, now I really have to see it. So I'm kind of toying with the idea of like, should I take the day off work, go see it opening day?
Well, you can see it opening night. You don't have to see. I mean, you could just see it. Yeah, you don't have to be there.
Except the theater I want to see it at, I'm pretty sure they're sold out for those D-box seats.
Oh well, that was quick. Even though it's still, 2 weeks?
I guess I could see it twice. I could see it normally somewhere like AMC or whatever, and then go to that theater where they have the motion seats.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
It's definitely a D-box worthy movie.
I agree. I'd want to see it in that too.
Gladly pay the upcharge for that.
But so we were talking about speaking of movies, we're talking about Hercules actually. Is that coming out this week, or is that wait, that's a while from now, I think, actually.
No, I think it's coming out.
Is it coming out this week?
I think it is. I think it's coming out soon.
Because you were talking about it. You were talking about hearing
radio
one
opening this week.
Yeah, you were hearing a radio ad for it.
Yeah, I've only seen like the trailers for it in the movie theaters, and so I heard a radio ad for it today, and it's the first time I've heard Dwayne Johnson actually speaking, and I was like, what? He doesn't have an accent. He doesn't have like the Hercules accent.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, what? I guess what is the Hercules accent supposed to sound like?
I don't know. I would think it's some kind of, like, you hear all the narration and they have like an accent, some kind of other accent. So I was like, shouldn't he have an accent too?
Well, I mean, they can't. I mean, he does. The thing is, like, well, you can't. You can only hear it now, but he's been showing us the video for it. But it's kind of like every other trailer where it's just got a bunch of action and someone who's apparently not The Rock talking.
Oh, that isn't talking.
So he's
talking like in the normal, just regular.
But what, I guess...
Which was interesting, because for some reason, I would have thought that it would have been like in the character of Hercules.
Well, I mean, what is the accent that's supposed to be there? I'm trying to think of it.
I'm used to like hearing, like, you know, in the Spartan movies or the 300 kind of, they have like that accent, or the old timey kind of talking. I don't know if he talks like that, but
yeah, it seems like everyone here has an accent except for him.
Right, and that's what was kind of threw me off, and that's what I was expecting if I was going to be hearing dialogue, but it was just really awkward, like when I was listening to it on the radio, like, that's weird, like someone just
you should be playing the radio one, because they can't see the video for it, so it just sounds like weird. They don't know who's talking. Most of the ones that have an accent are not The Rock, let's put it that way.
Yeah,
everyone you've heard so far that...
Yeah, it sounds like maybe Zeus is like narrating part of it,
but like, I guess that's the accent they go for, but...
Right. Like, usually in those kind of movies, like the old...
But yeah, it's kind of like... You can turn down now. Okay, so...
There you go. I am Hercules.
That was a long time for a punchline, but...
Sort of like an accent.
Well, I mean,
mild accent.
Well, we were like... I was thinking about it, and I'm like, if he does an accent, it's... I mean, even if it were spot on, I think it'd be just weird. Like, you'd be looking at him, and then the words that were coming out of his mouth, your ears would be like,
Rudy
What's-
Poo.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, he's still dressed up as Hercules.
Well, I know.
So
I mean,
I don't think it would
And
look
he's
weird.
huge
I
now
think the
compared to
fact
what
that
he
he
used to
doesn't
be.
sound like that
no,
makes it
I think it'd look weird because like he doesn't talk like that normally. So it's kind of like when you hear somebody, I guess you don't expect to have an accent of any kind, but then all of a sudden, like let's see, I was trying to remember. I can't remember right now. But basically,
it's
someone that looks one way, but then when they talk, it sounds completely different. You're just like, wait, oh. I mean, maybe it's racist or something, but
well, it kind of reminds you like if you're like to see Brad Pitt in Snatch, and he, you know how he does the voice.
well, he does
like,
the Cockney.
Yeah,
but I mean, that doesn't seem that weird. He could like, it'd be kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't seem weird when he's doing it that way. It doesn't seem like that much of a stretch. It's kind of like as if he was doing
I mean,
British accent or
well-
something. I wouldn't be surprised if he was. I'd be like, oh, okay, you know.
But I mean, it would just be weird. Like it's kind of like a comparison to that, where if he was just speaking in regular English but playing that character, it kind of like.
No. Well, him. I'm speaking specifically about Dwayne Johnson, like
Right.
The Rock. Him specifically with some accent, which I guess would be European of some sort, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you not
Would be-
entertained?
Yeah, like you throw if you did throw someone cross-cut like him, just images of him with the audio from 300 or something, and then he's like, here's what he'd sound like
know.
with those.
Is Sparta.
Yes, exactly. I was
But coming
thinking
out
like
of his
that.
scenes, like when you're like literally looking at him on screen and then putting that voice over him, and then you're looking at that and hearing that, you'd be like, I don't know if this goes together. You're like, you wouldn't. I don't know if you'd automatically go, yeah, that sounds legit. I could see him being that, or it's just like, it's kind of like it could easily fall under actors who
Or
think they're
overacting.
nailing the accent, but there's really bad, and it becomes like, wow, did you see?
No. I don't know. It's got 71% from the critics, at least.
Well, no, I
so-
mean the movie itself, from all the trailers I've seen,
No, the trailers look really good.
yeah, it's like it's an action movie. You got Hercules doing all his things that he did. I think he might even follow more of his story than some other stories, movies about Hercules. I think in the original story, like he ends up killing his family. Like, oh well, I think so.
Well, this is based on the comics, the Radical comics.
Oh, the
Hercules.
comics?
Yeah.
Well, because I remember someone was saying something about how a lot of stories about Hercules they don't go by the actual, is it Greek?
It's great.
The actual, like, the original Greek stories. They kind of just, well, here's Hercules, he's strong, he's a demigod.
Right.
We'll just go with that, and we'll just run with a story that just uses these kind of things. We won't use the actual story, because some of the bits are a little bit not very Hollywood, so they just kind of write their own story, where this one maybe they'll actually, it seems like they might be trying to stick closer to as much as possible while still making a decent movie, still sticking to the actual story as it was. Because I think from the trailers, I mean, it might be a spoiler, but it seems like at some point he does kill his family. I think he says that during the trailer, and it's like the midpoint. It's not like the end of the movie. It's like kind of the conflict in him. I forgot what causes him to do it. Like, I don't think he's in his right mind or something. Like, he gets tricked into doing it. I mean, you know more about Greek mythology than I do.
I do, but I don't recall
You don't know
that. I just know he had all those labors that he had to do.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing too. But he has the family. He gets the family at a certain point, so he's just fine. Yeah, and then gods and all. So one of them
Was it Hera?
Hera.
That
Yeah.
kind of made him see things.
Well, she hated Hercules, so
I'm trying to remember back.
She
This
was
is like
always-
way back in high school. I think it was like he wasn't seeing what was really there, so I guess he saw his family as like demons or
I
something
don't
like
know.
that.
But I know that
And
she
then
was
he ended up-
always trying to get him or kill him or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, there's like a part of the story where he does kill his family, but because he's being like shown something else or he's being tricked. I'm sure I'll be corrected at some point about this, but But it seemed like they did that in the movie. I'm like, oh, I didn't even really know about that until I heard someone else say something when they were explaining how, the movies tended to like change how everything works, like especially the Disney one, which I like Hercules, but that's barely Hercules, possibly by name only, and I think Zeus is in it.
That's kind of true for any Disney animated
That is true,
movie,
Disney,
so.
and I enjoy them. So probably a bad example, but it seems like they're at least trying to stick to the story as it was. It might as well. I mean, it's a good story, and from the trailers I saw, a lot of action, looks exciting. I mean, I don't know. Personally,
pretty CGI heavy.
It's okay. I don't have any problem with CGI though. I mean,
if it looks good,
I guess. But then the thing is, like, I guess I'm not very savvy when it comes to CGI. I mean, like, I obviously the giant robots that are in Transformers, they're all CGI. But you know, it could, like, everyone's like, oh, that was bad CGI. I'm like, I just saw an image that shouldn't be there. That's like, that was really cool to look at. I didn't really catch all the computer graphics. Maybe I don't see the lines in the Matrix like everybody else does. Because it seems like everywhere I turn, it's like, oh, that movie, yeah, that had really bad CGI. And I'm like, it did?
Well, it's kind of hard to say now because, like, back earlier, say, like, 90s, early 2000s, yeah, you could definitely tell something's CG.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I do admit it, because back in the day, you definitely did have a lot of stuff that looked really plasticky and stuff, and especially if they do a close-up of a human or something that was a CG human, it'd be...
That's why
it looked pretty...
The Abyss and Terminator, the James Cameron directed movies, those ones were... Or Terminator 2. The CGI in there, that was, like, revolutionary for that time. Kind of like Star Wars was revolutionary when that came out.
Yeah. But, I mean, it seems like everything...
At this point, everyone's using CG.
Yeah, everyone's using it.
It's really heavy in the movies, too. Like Avengers and just any big action movie, a bunch of it is all green screened.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. But it seems like the hip thing to say. It's like, oh, that movie, that thing. Did you see that CG in that? That was terrible CG.
But now you can't even really tell, even if it's like more of a budget movie by comparison to the bigger blockbusters.
I mean, I guess more recently someone will say that has bad CG. And I'm like,
it's like, I think you're just nitpicking.
It's like I did barely notice, or I always feel like I'm just not catching it. I'm just apparently not seeing it. Everyone else is
you're
seeing
too
something.
Sucked into the story.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that happened, and my mind doesn't even process it was CG. I'm like, because I'm into the story. That like, okay, I'll believe whatever you put out there.
Suspend your belief.
Yeah, I'll suspend my disbelief just to see it, and I won't see the CG unless I guess if it's really, really bad, which, I mean, they've gotten much better at. Even like you're saying, budget studios even do really good, at least decent CG that I probably wouldn't really go, oh, that was really bad, that'd take me out of it. But it always seems that way. It always seems like everyone else is seeing how bad everything is, because that's what everyone else points out. No one really usually says that had great CG.
Usually it's
most
like
of the time,
bad lines and bad story, bad acting.
Yeah, they usually. Yeah, well, I guess it's a tendency of humans to point out the bad things as opposed to the good things. I guess because I never hear anyone say great CG. Rarely, but bad CG. A lot of the time, people will say, bad CG. But I guess I don't really catch it all that often. Oh, you started talking about that.
Hercules.
Oh, right. Thank you. Yeah, I guess it is CG heavy, though.
Have you guys heard about Dwayne Johnson getting his own movie? What movie he's going to be getting?
Hercules.
I was going to say, I was going to go with Hercules.
He was actually doing an interview for Hercules.
Oh, yes.
And they were talking about how he was talking about how Marvel was trying to find him a character to play.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And so they said that it's Shazam?
Yes. Well,
they're
they're
thinking.
I mean,
that.
He's Captain Marvel, but I think he just goes by Shazam now because there is a Captain Marvel also.
He's built for that part. He's huge.
Oh no, it's perfect. It's a perfect part. I mean, I'm sure they wanted to keep it. They didn't want him to say that out loud. I'm sure they would like to have revealed it on their own. I didn't read the article though.
Well, he was doing an interview, and the guy was kind of asking him, and then he said, "Well, I'm not gonna say what it is, but I'm just gonna say he has superpowers like Superman, and something about leave it up to one word or something like that." It was just like one word, so it was kind of like.
So everyone's like, "Well, that was that. Yeah, that's pretty." It's pretty obvious, actually, when you start putting it that way.
He's like Batman. It's not really Ben Affleck.
Yeah, there's the twist. That image that they took of him. It's not really. It's just to throw you off. It's not really. All this has been other stuff that's just trying to throw you off. But yeah, I did hear about that. Him playing Shazam or Captain Marvel. I guess he's just Shazam now, and yeah, that makes sense. I guess. Oh, he said he was going to play a hero, right? So I guess it was going to be Shazam. Because I was thinking maybe it was going to be Black Adam. But I'm like, oh, wait, he's playing a superhero. Because it's also, big guy. Just kind of not superhero, but I could see him playing either one. But I wonder if he's going to be... or is he always going to get his own movie? Is that what they were kind of saying?
Yeah.
He's not going to be... A cameo in...
No, it's supposed to be his own movie.
Batman 5 Superman or anything, right? Because that's pretty much most of...
There's a fifth one?
Yeah, Batman 5 Superman, Batman v Superman.
Well,
right?
in the interview, he was saying that he's been talking to Marvel for the last few years, and they're trying to find him a character that he could play, like, for a movie. And
Warner Brothers got him in
for a few years, man... The Rock is Superman. But not even Dwayne Johnson as Superman. The Rock as Superman.
That'd be awesome.
That
I'd
would
like
be.
To see that.
I would totally watch
him
that.
Up into the air and just pounds him in the ground with the rock bottom.
He rock bottoms them from like space, from orbit, and just all the way down the people's elbow. But he runs all the way around the world and then drops the elbow on them into
space.
From space. Yeah, I would say for years, like, you could have had him as Superman, but I was like, I guess not. You could have the guy who plays Superman.
Well, he was saying something about like he wanted to do kind of like Green Lantern or something, but they already had a Green Lantern, so they're trying to find him like another.
But then Green Lantern's not really that buff either. I mean, The Rock, he's gotten a lot bigger and way more in shape now than before, like when he first started his wrestling career.
Right, yeah, he's put on more bulk.
Rocky Maivia. Yeah, that. Well, I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere, but
even if you go from movies, like from the Scorpion King, he's like way bigger than that now.
Actually, wait, so
did he have an accent in Scorpion King?
Yeah, you're asking that.
That one had bad CG.
That one, okay, see. Well, no, was the Scorpion King, was the one, was he the lead in that one? What was the third Mummy one? The third Mummy one is the one I think he's in, right?
Yeah.
Where he is the Scorpion King, but he doesn't, he's literally a half man, half scorpion thing.
Yeah, and that's where it went CG, and it's like,
okay, see, where I say I don't see, that was really bad. That actually stood out to me as like, yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, it's fine, okay, half man, half scorpion, what you gonna do? But yeah, it was pretty bad in that one. Because in the actual Scorpion King, he's just The Rock, or he's just Dwayne Johnson. He's not.
He does the people's eyebrow in there too.
Why wouldn't he do that?
And he did the rock bottom.
Yeah, I was like, I might as well do it. I think I did watch that one.
I have it, sadly enough.
Oh no, it's not. I think it's a fine. It's okay movie.
I think
it's
it came
not
with the Mummy collection because I bought the bundle.
Is there only one Scorpion King, or does that have its own?
It was a standalone movie, but I think it was part of the Mummy 2, where he was kind of introduced as a character, and then they did another movie just of the Scorpion.
Oh, so
the Scorpion King.
The Scorpion King is the third one? No. There's the Mummy.
No, they had, I think, 3 mummies, right?
Is that what it was?
I think so. And then they had the Scorpion King as well.
I was trying to remember the second one then, because I remember during the middle of one of them, or not the middle, but the end of one of them is where he shows up, and it would be the last one before the Scorpion King.
Yeah, whatever the last one was.
Well, the third one had the kids in it, I believe.
Okay. That
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
It's been so long.
Actually, now I still would confuse them from being in 2 or 3. It has been a while. I guess it's worth a rewatch. I mean, it's good movies, but I just got a bunch of other movies I got to watch too. But but going back to Hercules, I don't know. It looked, the trailers looked actiony. I guess I don't know. I'm not really that big. It seems like they've been doing a lot of those kind of movies from, I was gonna say time period, but like kind of that genre, I guess, or like where you have like I was trying to think of the ones with like the not the Hydra, but basically where they have Greek mythology movies, basically where they're coming out. It seems like they're coming out with like a lot of them more recently, and I'm kind of, it's not really my thing. I'm in it for the action bits, but
yeah, it's like those old mythology movies, comic book movies, or reboots.
Yeah,
that's basically what this.
Yeah, I guess the Greek mythologies are kind of winding down. Like they have the Hercules coming out now, but they there was a while back where they were kind of stacking on top of each other, where it was a big thing to bring them out. But I guess that's kind of waning now, and the superhero movies and reboots are always around, but superhero movies definitely are coming into their heyday when they weren't always that way. But now they seem to have finally figured out how to basically craft a movie from a comic book, which I would think wouldn't be terribly hard in theory, because it's already got its story. So you could literally just take one of the stories from said books that exist and then somehow transplant that to the screen, and that'd be up to the director to make it look good at least. But story-wise, you could pretty much... There's so many story arcs that you could just pick and choose.
It's kind of funny, too, because I recently watched the original X-Men, the one that came out on Fox a long time ago. And it's like, wow, this had a really good storyline and a pretty...
You're talking about the animated series.
The animated one, yeah.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, that one based off the comic, and it wasn't really hard for them to put something together that was pretty well crafted and entertaining just for being a TV show.
Right.
And they introduced all the characters, had a really nice flow to it, and it was like the very first episode of season 1. It was like, I think it was a Night of the Sentinels Part 1, and then the second episode was Night of the Sentinels Part 2. So they already went into a multi-part format for the beginning, and then even outside of those two, the story arc continued with all the subsequent episodes until the disc was over, and like, oh man, I didn't realize how good this was.
Now, you watched the original series, right, Kari?
Yeah, I did. I got the video tapes.
You actually have.
I sold them, but I used to have the video.
You can get them on DVD now.
Did you bought the video, or did you just record it off TV?
No, I had the
official videos.
Yeah, I bought the videos.
And well, you were really into them too, because you had like the cards. Excuse me. Collectible cards. So you liked X-Men back in the day, based on
Gambit.
You liked Gambit. Sorry,
he's my
he's
guy.
Your favorite. But you'll watch the X-Men.
A movie of him too, so that's gonna be awesome.
I've heard that. And who is it?
Channing Tatum. Whatever his name is.
Channel Tatum. Yes, that guy. Him.
The other beefcake.
Definitely One Track Mind, sir.
Magic Mike.
I've never seen that either, Magic Mike.
So you go watch that and just imagine that it's Gambit instead of Mike.
With the cool body armor and the bow and the cards.
He's a stripper, so you imagine he put it in another room, basically. Like
body armor eventually slowly comes off throughout the movie.
Yes, he's got the body armor. It just happens to be always off screen. And then his
cards are like in his. What do they wear? G-strings or thongs or what is it? I don't know.
For easy access,
a money belt.
Yes, maybe it's the money belt.
I'm sure that's what they call it. But yeah, he is playing Gambit, or is he signed to play Gambit? Because I remember hearing this.
I think
a while ago.
He might be.
Yeah. They're not in production or anything, but it's like we've got our Gambit whenever we do make the movie 20 whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
This is the guy, which kind of must suck for the guy who played Gambit in Origin in Wolverine.
I didn't really like him.
Well, he barely even had a part in there. Like, he kind of showed up twice in the movie, I think. And once even you're like, why did you show up now? I'm sure Wolverine would have been fine, but...
Yeah, he was at the end.
He was at the very end to, quote-unquote, save Wolverine, even though... I think something's about to fall on Wolverine, and, like, he, like, saves him. Once again, quote-unquote, saves him, but I'm sure Wolverine would have been fine. But, you know, who doesn't want more Gambit? You know, he's a favorite, so...
Of course.
Any reason to have more? Okay, that's fine. But apparently you didn't really care for the few bits he was in.
Gambit of the original animated series.
Yes, he has to have that accent.
Yeah.
Did he not have the accent in the movie? I thought they were in...
No, but it has to be the same voice actor that did the one in the animated series.
I don't know if you want to see...
always has to voice Batman. That guy also always has to do Gambit.
And act Gambit.
Yes.
Or do you just have...
Or just do voiceover.
I was going to say, yeah, you just have him voice over and just have Channing Tatum just act it out, like throw cards. Yeah, just have him say all the lines, just have Channing Tatum like throw cards and stuff and look good. That could work. But I mean, I guess for that guy, he was probably expecting, it's like, I was in this movie, so obviously this is my gateway into my own movie. Although I think I'd heard that the Wolverine Origins was supposed to be part of it was supposed to be more origin stories. Like, everyone was supposed to get their own origin stories, but it kind of...
They were
bombed. Well, I mean, it still made a lot of money because, you know, Wolverine, but it still bombed for what it was. Like, it didn't work out the way they wanted to.
But now Disney, on the other hand, was able to work that formula
with
all their...
Oh, what do you mean?
Or
the Marvel property?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I know the X-Men. I mean, still made a lot of money. The trilogy plus. They still made lots of money with it. So I don't know. I mean, even though technically Wolverine Origins is a failure, it's financially, I'm sure it was fine. It's just kind of like received poorly, I guess, and with the changes they made. My beef with it is Deadpool as my favorite characters, and whatever that thing at the end was just really like, what the heck is this? Although when they have Wade Wilson played by Ryan Reynolds earlier in the movie, it's like the perfect. It's like, yep, that's Deadpool. Not as full Deadpool, just before he gets all experimented on, but the previous, like, yeah, that's the guy, and yeah, that's the merc with the mouth. That's perfect. And then they go and take away his mouth, so he can't talk. So Deadpool, the merc with the mouth,
the thing that imparts his essential characteristic.
Basically, yes, one of his. And then they give him other powers. They can't talk, but look, he's got eye beams and teleportation.
Well, he absorbed everyone's powers. He's basically like, oh, it's like Rogue, and then
I know.
You got Cyclops' powers.
Yeah, you're like,
teleport. Like
what? Okay, like as if him being Deadpool wasn't badass enough. Like actual, you know, going nuts with guns and swords versus Wolverine having the healing factor wouldn't be awesome enough.
Didn't he have an adamantium skeleton too?
Probably. Oh, what you mean in the movie?
Yeah.
Probably. They just started
cut off his head and he just like reattached to his body or something like that.
Actually, I don't know. Well, they had that fight scene. The fight scene's fine, although it just seems weird. Like that, whatever that thing is, that's not Deadpool. The fight scene's cool, but it's just like that character's not Deadpool. And then, but the interesting thing is for that movie didn't have actually separate endings depending on where you saw it. I think it did, like depending on which theater you saw it in.
Oh, right. Like
it had multiple, not multiple endings on the same thing, but each theater had its own ending, kind of thing. Like these theaters got this ending, these theaters over here got this ending.
I think I saw it at AMC, and that ending was the one where he's in the bar, and he's like, "Are you drinking to forget?" And it's like, "I'm drinking to remember."
Is that the one? I don't know if this was part of it, but there's the one where, like the part where he Deadpool gets his head cut off, and then they zoom in on the head, and I think the eyes open or something. Kind of that kind of ending. I don't know if that was on everyone or if that was its own separate ending, but that was like another one where it's like, oh, he's still alive. Well, whoop-de-doo, but it's unfortunate, but he's still alive, kind of thing. But the thought process is interesting in that, like, it's pretty cool that they had multiple endings. Although
it's no clue,
huh?
It's no clue.
I was about to say that. Well, because going to Clue, one of my favorite movies, pretty fun movie, has multiple endings. But I'd never seen it in theaters because I don't remember when it came out, but it was before I was probably going to watch it. So I saw it, I think, on DVD or on maybe on TV. But by then they had, because original in theaters each theater had its own ending. The same thing had its own ending, but then for the TV, when it was on TV or on DVD, they just had all the endings stacked onto the end. So you could see each different ending, one after another, and then the real ending. But that must have been interesting when you saw it in theaters, like, oh, it ended this way. Like, no, it didn't. It ended this way.
What are you talking about? Watch it again.
Watch it again, kind of thing. And, well, I guess it sounds cool in theory, but if you were actually a theater goer and you paid your money, I'd like you to think you'd want to see all the endings. In this day and age, you can go on the internet
YouTube.
And try to, you can like, well, what are the other endings I missed? Back in the day, it's like, oh, you want to see what those other endings are? Pay us. Buy another movie ticket. Although I guess tickets were technically cheaper then, so.
Yeah.
Like, were they a lot cheaper?
Yes.
Now, is it
a lot cheaper back then?
Is that based on inflation, or they just happen to be cheaper? Like, or was it like equal to what we pay now, just in less money? That's what I was wondering. I was like,
I think they try to correlate it, saying, "Oh, like, yeah, it is inflation," but I think when they figured it out, it's actually more than inflation.
I wouldn't be surprised if it floated above inflation, but
as they do,
as they do. But yeah, what were we at? Hercules.
So you can watch it? Yes.
I don't know. Maybe.
She wants to watch.
Did you want to see that
I
one?
want to see it.
Okay, then I guess we'll.
I love anything with Greek mythology.
You do like everything with Greek mythology.
So you're gonna have to watch Guardians and tag along with him, and then when you're gonna watch
I do
Hercules,
actually want to see.
She'll see. She has nothing against Guardians. It's just she doesn't really care to like. She won't really probably go out of your way, right?
You see
no, I still want to see it. I was kind of interested in
Raccoon
in the trailer where they show the girl who plays Amy from Doctor Who. She's the all in blue, I guess.
Yeah, she plays. I think
she's the bad guy.
Yeah, she's this. I think it's Nebula. I think that is. I think the daughter of, or granddaughter of Thanos. I'm not too sure, but she's related to him. And
wait, blue or green?
Blue.
Blue.
You're thinking of Gamora.
I think she's bald.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think those two have their
like a quick little.
Yeah, they're against each other. They're kind of their own rivals there. But I think because they're both trained by
Karen
Thanos.
Yes.
Gillian?
Yeah. The girl who plays Amy
Nebula.
in the 11th season of Doctor Who.
Which is interesting because I think when she was leaving the show, she already had the part for that. So she had shaved her head before Comic-Con that year. So, for the parts, because she's bald in it, so she went all out. But then she was on the panel for Doctor Who, so she wore a wig, so she didn't like come out there.
Like, what happened?
Here's
to her
Amy,
hair,
and then she's bald. So I think she was wearing a wig at the time, and she might have removed it kind of like as a teaser for what she was going to be doing, kind of thing. Just, or maybe it was for the panel for Guardians of the Galaxy. Might have been. I'm not sure. It's been a while, so. But yeah.
So I'm kind of excited about that because I've only seen her as Amy in Doctor Who, so.
Yeah,
I want to see like her actiony side.
Yeah, I think I saw like a picture of them training too, so I think she does a lot of her own fighting too, so that's actually her fighting those scenes. Should be interesting. And you're talking about the Rocket basically, and did you? I guess in your trailer too, because I saw the 5-minute one where they do the prison stuff, and they have that funny line where I don't know if they had in your trailer where they're walking, and he's like, "You look like a raccoon." He's like, "What's a raccoon?"
Yeah, that's
yeah, that one made me laugh when I saw it.
It's like it's what you are.
It's what you are. I kind of want to. You haven't seen that one, right?
I don't think so. What is he supposed to be?
He's actually, well,
an experiment.
Kind of like from what I've read, kind of background wise, on this planet, this kind of insane asylum planet, they kind of genetically enhanced these animals to help with the patients, kind of thing. But he's not. Doesn't like see himself as a raccoon. Like they're just
like,
I guess
as a person, or
he just is
like,
what he is.
Right.
I think he has a line about that. He is what, like, he's the only one that he is, or something like that. Yeah. He says a line like that. So he apparently hates to be referred to as a raccoon
or an animal, or
just Rocket.
Oh,
like just raccoon is insulting to him. Just like. Even though to us,
it's like you can't use that word.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, it was pretty funny from the trailer that I saw. But all of them have been really humorous and made me want to know more about these characters that I, in the beginning, couldn't give a crap about. So well done Marvel marketing to make everyone start caring about your Z-list comic characters, is what I've heard. They were basically pretty far down the list of,
but yeah, it seems really, really entertaining. Especially, like, I'm kind of surprised that that same trailer that I saw wasn't shown at Disneyland as a part of the regular thing, because I think that would have sucked more people into the movie.
How long is the Captain EO, or the one that takes place in the Captain EO theater?
It's like 10 minutes or something.
Because is that how long Captain EO is? Because I'm assuming it would take probably the same amount of time, just because it's still technically a ride kind of thing, so they'd want it to match up. Or could they have shown the 17-minute?
They reprogrammed the whole thing. They could have shown the 17-minute one too, but I think it's.
You think it might have been too long though? Yeah, I was gonna say it might have been too long, where you have less people like pushing through there. If you just have this 10-minute, you're saving a.
It's really entertaining.
Yeah, well, you said the 10-minute one was still entertaining though, so. And those people don't know what they're missing because they never saw the 17-minute one. So,
because this one, the focus is definitely more on Star-Lord, where the one that I saw beforehand, the extended trailer, that one was more for the other characters,
right?
And kind of the interplay between all of them.
Yeah, that's what the kind of 5-minute one was. I think they even said that as kind of more for getting to know the other characters and how they kind of interact, but.
So they're just having that one for a limited time?
For sure, until the movie comes out, then maybe a little bit after. And then I don't know if they'll bring back Captain EO or not. Okay. They said it's coming back, but...
so that's similar to the Maleficent one that they had at Disney's California Adventure,
yeah, in the Bugs Life Theater.
Is it Bugs Life, I'm guessing, back now, right?
Yeah, it's back now.
Okay.
But they did that more just to upgrade the projectors and have that be paid on the Walt Disney Studios dime rather than the Walt Disney Company theme parks side dime. Smart for them, though. Yeah.
Speaking of the movies, though,
the other one coming out is Lucy.
It was coming out this
Friday. Yeah,
Friday. I did. Yeah, I saw the trailer. I've only seen the one trailer for it. It's not like these other movies that have 10 or 20 different trailers. It actually is like a normal movie, one trailer, and it seemed interesting in the trailer, but it seemed a lot like Limitless. I saw a lot of the best. It felt like I saw the best parts in the trailer. I don't know if that's true, but like the trailer's really awesome, but I'm like, what fits in between these scenes might be not that interesting.
Yeah,
like these are the best scenes. These look awesome. Is what I'm worried about with that movie, because the trailer makes me want to see it, but the skeptical part of me is like,
yeah. Well, this one also got a pretty high rating from critics too.
Okay.
So,
well then I'm
not as high as Hercules, like just a few percentage points lower, but still.
And I kind of want to see Hercules. I don't know. I'm going to see Hercules apparently.
Well, so in Lucy, they kind of unlock her mind, and that's why she's capable of doing all those things.
She was transporting drugs, and then it like popped inside of her, and kind of like the Limitless drug. That did you see that movie?
No.
Okay. Well,
basically, the premise of the movie is the theory is we don't use all of our brains, and this drug causes, or whatever happens to her causes her to be able to get closer, or ultimately be able to use 100% of your brain at one time. And apparently, if you can harness your brain that much, you become a god. Apparently,
like superpowers,
like Neo in the Matrix.
Like you can stop time and
basically is how it is.
You can slow down time,
which I think is
because just in her mind.
No, I don't know. Actually, that's what
in the trailer. It looked like everything was kind of
they start slowing down the thing.
Right.
So I guess I'd like to hope they'd explain what the hell's going on in that trailer in the movie, but. Or it might be a deleted scene, which would really suck. But basically, you become apparently a god-like powers, basically. You control everything. The closer your brain gets to 100%, because we only use... Well, the myth is we only use like 10% of our brain, but it's not true. We do use more of it, actually, at a given time. But we don't have superpowers either.
But not 100%.
Or maybe
but not
like
100%. Yeah.
See?
Not 100%. So
this movie's going to open
or maybe you do. Actually, I don't know. Because I know the 10% thing is a myth, but I don't know how much of a percentage you actually do use.
4% or 5%?
No, you use a lot more. You use a lot of your brain when you're just when you're actually doing stuff. So, but I forgot how much it actually is. But
so then after this movie comes out, it's like sponsored by Luminosity. Unlock your mind.
Unlock your mind. But the trailer makes it look really awesome. And, I mean, if the critics who've seen the whole movie say it's good, and I think the trailer's pretty good, I think I'd watch it.
I think I'd like to see it, too.
Yeah, I'm curious. And I wouldn't be surprised if we were let down, because then I'm kind of already skeptical of it, because the trailers looks really like, oh, this is all awesome, yet that's all the movie has to give, possibly. But if they craft a really good storyline around it, then, and they still have the powers in it, then it could be cool. And I'd watch it. Well, thinking about that made me think of kind of the whole trailer being all kind of a bait and switch. Because when we were at the swap meet, we saw, we were at Target or something, and I saw Sucker Punch. Maybe it was. I think it was at the swap meet, and
we saw.
It was on a table for like $2 or something, $2 or $3, and I'm like, and every time I see that movie, I always get pissed off, because I remember seeing the trailers for that movie before it came out, obviously, and just going, oh, it's gonna be awesome. Like they're just like, I don't know what the story is, because the trailers basically just shot all the fantasy scenes of them fighting like Nazi robot things and dinosaurs and on a train, had all this stuff. And then when I saw the movie, it actually is apparently
in her mind,
like it's not real.
She's
in an area that's apparently maybe not real either, but that takes it's kind of that.
It's like, we sucker punched you and took your money.
It's so true. I was so like, what happened? What was that movie? Which is
funny too, because they were selling a lot of merchandise at that same time. Like I think Halloween came after that, and they had a whole bunch of Sucker Punch costumes.
Because I mean, I'd watch a supercut of the movie. Well, because if you see the trailer, I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but basically the trailer's all these fantasy scenes, all these cool action scenes.
Really cool. But then when it came out, this is why I didn't see it, was because everyone complained about it. It's like, this movie sucked. Because
what the thing is, like I was saying, that takes place in our mind, and the actual movie takes place in an insane asylum, or an asylum, I guess, for women, and she's in it, and she uses these fantasies
that are insane.
I don't know, but basically, that part, I guess, is to get you to each of these points, which they use for the trailer. But then I'd like to see a supercut where someone just takes all the action scenes, somehow pulls them together somehow, and cuts out all the scenes of them in the asylum out, and just puts these, and like, that's the movie I wanted to see. I don't know. I remember even seeing the trailer going, I don't even know how there's a story that makes sense here, but I don't really care. It could be a really thin story just to explain how you get to these action points. I'd be fine with that, because the action in the trailer looked really awesome, and it really kind of pulled me in enough that I'm like, I'm willing to give it a pass on a really good story if they can somehow figure out how to make these scenes at least get your heroine. It sounds too close to but yes. If you can get her from set piece to set piece, I'd be fine with it. But what I saw was just like, what am I watching? And it's like, hey, another action scene. Oh, it's over. Now we're back to this. Oh, darn. And yeah, you don't know if by the end you're like, you're not sure if that part's a dream or not, which I admit is kind of cool. I kind of like that kind of thing, kind of like Inception, where you're not really sure by the end. I kind of like that, but I was so unhappy with the rest of it that I had to sit through just to get to the scenes I wanted to see. That it definitely, the title was very apt.
Well, it was kind of like, remember we always joke about The American with George Clooney.
Which you took me to see.
Yes, I took you to see because I saw the trailer.
And and it looked
really great.
I didn't see any trailer, but I was like, what? Okay, if you say it's good, it's going to be good.
And the movie was so bizarre and so weird. It was like, what is going on?
Which was basically George Clooney's Italian Vacation. Or was he in Italy? I think it was in Italy
somewhere.
Or wherever he was.
It's like him driving around in a car.
George Clooney's European Vacation, starring George Clooney. Basically, it has him driving around, talking to people. Kind of, I'm guessing,
cleaning his gun or building his gun.
And since I didn't see the trailer, I had nothing to really even like. I guess if anything, it's better that I didn't see the trailer because then it was not a letdown. I just like, what is going on?
Well, but we watched the trailer together later, and you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the way they cut the trailer was very like it made it seem action packed and like tense and stuff like that. Whereas the movie is just kind of boring
and slow,
and the only kind of action that takes place is really near the end of the movie. And
but they got good reviews though from critics,
which
makes weird.
See, now that makes no sense because that movie, I'd say maybe I should rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure I remember it vividly in my head as being really boring and really there was no action in this movie. It was George Clooney's European Vacation, his tapes that he shot himself apparently. And then they put it together like, I owe you a film? Well, here, you can have my vacation tapes and make a film around that. I use a gun at some point. I don't even know if he shoots the gun. Maybe he does, or he just builds the gun. Because there's a montage of him building the gun or cleaning and building the gun. But it's, definitely. And you're saying the critics liked it?
I think so, yeah.
I actually probably should look up those reviews just to see what the heck they were talking about. Because Just to see what the description other than I liked it. If there's any more words beyond that explain why the movie's good, I'd be stunned because it was pretty boring. But yeah, I guess that's just the problem you get with trailers most of the time. But like Guardians of the Galaxy has tons of trailers. It's like 20 trailers or something of different varying lengths and stuff like that. They've been putting out a lot of stuff, so it doesn't look like they're trying to hide anything. I mean, unless they hid a whole bunch of crappy parts of the movie somehow buried deep and they just cut trailers of everything else. It seems like it's going to be good from everything I've seen, and they put out a lot of things on it. I think it's kind of like, well, I think I'm the minority in this because everyone still seems to not like it or not want to see it, and that's TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that comes out the week after Guardians.
And I was totally, when I first heard about it, I was like, this is stupid. This is a terrible idea. But now that we're getting closer to it, and I've seen like the trailers for it and all the stuff they put out, and I'm like, actually, it's another one because Guardians, I hated it. I was like, this is stupid. I've never heard of this, and it won me over. Turtles, I'm like, this is a stupid idea. Michael Bay's going to screw this up. It's going to be terrible. Every trailer I see, it's like,
did they change the way the turtles look?
I have no idea. I didn't really care.
I think they look the same.
Maybe they did. See, I can't really tell because when everyone was when the internet was in an uproar, it's like the turtles don't look right. I'm like, what? I didn't even notice. I'm like, did you see them doing other things that were cool for turtles and them talking? It's like the noses look wrong.
I thought it was the lips.
There you go. See, I heard the noses. I
Their
saw
shells
them.
are too big.
And they're too big. That was another one. They're just too huge. They're just too huge and stuff. And what? But
no, go on.
What did you want to say? Something? Well, I was just saying that everyone was complaining about it, but it seemed like every trailer I've seen made it better and better. Or made it seem better and better that I actually want to see it now. But I think still it's at most 50-50. Some people are still not on board for it.
Did you see the other movies that they had? I think they had like live action ones.
Wait, are you talking about like the concerts and stuff?
No.
Or are you talking about the original live action movies?
Right.
The ones back
those.
in the 90s, I guess.
How do those compare to the new one coming out?
I think I'd have to rewatch them because I remember them fondly.
Well, because did people complain about those, or were they pretty spot on with what people thought that the Ninja Turtles were supposed to look like?
Actually, that was one thing I was thinking when everyone was like, their noses are all wrong and their lips are wrong and they're too big kind of thing. And so I'm like, do you kind of remember what the original Turtles looked like?
I think the other movies actually probably looked more correct than...
Yeah, because those ones, it was real life and they were wearing like costumes and stuff.
Oh, is
but
that
they
why?
looked more like they pulled the turtles out of the cartoon, the original cartoon, and
then just made them real life
yeah.
turtles. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, but then even then, haven't they been like reimagining the Turtles anyway since the original one cartoon back then? There's been different versions of the Turtles anyways from then to now anyway. So we wouldn't use the ones from the 80s anyways, even though that's ones we remember fondly.
Right.
But there's already like the newest versions of the Turtles, while not as big as these Turtles, they're different from the original Turtles, look-wise. Like because the art style's basically changed. So those ones now probably look like, you showed them now, they're like, okay.
Well, I think, but everyone still remembers those when they're kids.
Well, we do,
those.
our generation, but there's a current generation that doesn't watch those Turtles, that watches the new versions of the Turtles.
Weird.
Like, I don't watch it, but I know there's a different versions of the Turtles. There's still, the four of them, but they look
the generation which
different.
has no idea what a Walkman cassette player is or what a
Discman.
Game Boy is.
Yeah, that generation has their own version of the Turtles. Of course, nobody's version of the Turtles looks like the ones in this current movie.
So the new animated series or whatever, they don't look like the new movie ones, though?
I don't think so. Because I think these do... Well, maybe. I guess we'd have to look into it, but I think...
Because I guess that would make sense if they look like the newer generation cartoons.
I guess. But then, like I said, the thing is they do kind of redo them. They do it how they're going to do it. Just they change the styles, basically. They don't stay the same. So this is just another version of them. This is whatever the people that created this version of them created. They wanted their own version of the Turtles. This is them. They're big, but they still kind of have the same personalities they do, kind of continued on. Which, I mean, maybe I didn't really notice the looks as much because I was interested in how their personalities played off. Like, or was it going to be like a darker, more serious Turtles, or was it still going to be like fun, wisecracking? Like, well, each one personality. You have like Mike that's more wisecracking, and Leonardo who's more serious and stuff, and Ralph who's
he's more sarcastic. Raphael.
Yeah. See, so just all those kind of things. As like, did you get those parts right? That where they all have their own personality and stuff.
Well, I don't know about the casting for like April O'Neil.
Okay, that's true. But I mean,
I don't see why they
at this point
choose her.
At this point, it is what it is. I mean, sure, there might be many different, better April O'Neils.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the poster for Turtles, and yeah, I see what you're saying about the shells being huge.
No, they are really big. It's just kind of how they are. But I mean, It'll be interesting to see how it interacts with everything. Because actually, I just have to see how it all works. Because everything's been a quick cut into the trailers that you can kind of get a certain gauge for it, but you're just going to have to see how it plays out in the movies and stuff.
Even with all the complaints and everything, it still has a rating of like 95% of the people, at least on Flickster, want to see it.
I think, and I feel like that's gone up. Like when it originally was announced, I'm pretty sure that number was really low. And I was among them, like, because, well, there was nothing to go on. And it was just like, this could easily go horribly badly. Easily. So, and I think everyone was in that camp that it is probably going to be a disaster.
Yeah, because the synopsis is giving it more of a modern take on it, too. Like, kind of like, what was it? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had the other group that was trying to... I can't remember what they called. Well, anyway.
Oh, Hydra.
Yeah, that's
Hydra.
It. Yeah, so Hydra pretty much infiltrated like all the levels of power within like everything, like politicians and all that stuff.
Spoilers.
Oops.
Well, I mean, if you haven't seen...
Well, it's in the movies and everything too, so if you haven't seen it, too bad.
You've had a few months, so, you know.
Yeah. Hell Hydra. No, but for this one, the premise is kind of the same, where it's like they're saying Shredder and the Foot Clan have an iron grip on everything from the police to the politicians, so it's almost like they have a controlling stake in a lot of levels of authority.
Well, that's cool government. Then. That's an interesting idea, because I think before in like the original series, they were just... Foot Clan were just their own band of bad guys outside of... They weren't in the power kind of thing, so that's an interesting take on it, having the Foot Clan and I guess Shredder be actually controlling things. Guy gives them a harder adversary. Although, I guess, I forgot who the guy was that they thought was going to be Shredder. Because I think he had said it or something, that he was... And then when they cast... It was like a white guy, I can't remember his name. Because it wasn't... Because Shredder is... Can you remember his... Well, he was like Splinter's...
Pupil?
I don't know if it was his pupil, but at least his kind of enemy, basically. But they were both Japanese, basically, in the original
like
series.
Nemesis.
Yes. And then, like, the guy who they cast, or who he said, oh, I'm the Shredder kind of thing, or he was going to be playing the Shredder, was a white guy, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he wasn't a Japanese guy, like in the original series. It's like, oh, how's that going to work? Because kind of, I think Orokosaki is the guy who's the Shredder, who becomes a Shredder. But it was supposed to be this guy, but apparently in the trailers now, he's speaking to somebody else in the shadows who may or may not be Orokosaki, the guy who is the Shredder.
Right. Like,
he might be talking to him, but you don't know. So that, I think, is interesting. I think maybe because also in the trailer, he's got this giant suit. The Shredder is in this giant metal suit and shoots out the claws or something. It's really... Some people have made kind of jokes about it. It's like, oh, it shoots out stuff. I'm like, oh, it's fine, whatever. You know, he still looks menacing, and I wouldn't want to mess with him. So, but it might be just like a robot with some dude in it, not like the Shredder fighting
Krang.
No Krang in this one. Maybe the second one after it becomes.
He's the one in the shadows.
He is in the shadows, and that's the reveal at the end.
Spoilers.
Yes, I just spoiled it. That's the reveal at the end.
Oh, now I don't want to see it anymore.
Now I don't want to see it anymore. Come on, it's got Krang in it now. But yeah, I think that one has changed, like you said, like 95% now. Want to see it because I think, especially once they showed what the turtles looked like. Actually, at first there was backlash to that when they first showed it. So I think they've actually tweaked it. Like they've tweaked stuff.
Well, it shouldn't be that hard. Like they tweaked it. Like for Guardians, they've been tweaking everything since the first trailer came out. And someone did a side-by-side of some of the same scenes from the trailer when it initially came out to the public versus a more recent trailer that showed the same scene. And like, oh, look, they changed the lighting. They changed like a lot of the texturing and like
No, I
effects
guess
and
with
everything.
all the CG, they
Yeah,
can
so
do
you
that.
just go back and
Yeah,
like,
just
oh,
go
well,
and
it
do
doesn't
that.
look that good, and like people look at it like, oh, that's a lot cooler.
Okay.
It's like, it's weird. It looks better now. I don't know.
I don't know why, but I don't care. Take my money. That looks better now. So that is actually a bonus. Well, there's a lot of bonuses to using CG, obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot of good movies coming out. Lots of movies to watch, and then especially with Comic-Con that's happening right now. They even announced before Comic-Con. Did you see the Entertainment Weekly thing for the Age of Ultron? The Avengers, they showed.
Yeah, they show the cover of it now, and
you see Ultron like behind Tony Stark, Iron Man.
they kind of changed
Captain
the
America.
storyline. Well, I bought the Age of Ultron, the hardcover, the kind of the just to read up on it, just to see. Although now it's kind of moot point because they kind of changed it how Ultron comes about. I think he was created by somebody else, like maybe Hank Pym or something. But now in this movie, since
Tony Stark
invents him, and I think that's different than the comics. But I still have to read it.
I think the premise was he creates him to try to help out with the Avengers and basically be an assist, and then the AI learns more and more and more, and then kind of like Terminator, it's like, oh, well, humans need to be destroyed for their own good.
Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be more because that one's not coming out till next year, right? Avengers 2? Or sorry, Avengers 3. No, 2.
2.
Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got confused with Captain America.
Yeah, but they're already working on Phase 3 with Avengers 3 as part of that already.
Oh, yeah, they got their roadmap out. Now DC's got the roadmap, so... Oh, they've had
They're
it,
just copying Disney's roadmap now.
Might as well. I'm okay
it's
with
working,
that.
so it's like,
I'm okay with that as a movie watcher.
the winners are us.
I'd rather them have an idea of what they're doing as opposed to whatever the hell it is they've been doing. Although the Batman trilogy was good, although it was standalone, so that's kind of useless. But I mean, hopefully they're finally getting their act together with all the shows they're running and everything. But I guess we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Next time. Yes.
Since Comic-Con started today, they just released the poster for Ant-Man.
Well, there's going to be a lot of announcements
2015.
during Comic-Con, so we'll have plenty to talk about next time, actually. Well, the announcements are going to make at Comic-Con this year. We didn't get to talk about Comic-Con, but none of us are going, unfortunately.
But we'll find everything out later.
Yes, we will find everything
We'll
out
see all
because
the
the news is going to pour out of there. So we'll have plenty of stuff to probably talk about next week. All that new sweet information that comes out. So we'll pick this up next week with all that stuff. So I guess we'll call it tonight. Thanks for listening to this Talk Knights podcast. I've been your host, Kikoa, here with Ben.
Yay.
And Kari, special guest.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
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 Bye.